Hey guys, Joel Frank here, market analyst for YouTrading, and today we're taking a quick look at crude oil, or the American benchmark for crude oil, which is called WTI, which stands for West Texas Intermediary. We're looking at crude oil because, well, the only way to say it is crude oil got absolutely pummeled yesterday. If we look here at the recent price action, these are 4-hour candlesticks. You can see just how big this drop from recent highs has been. This was just, in the first week of July, we were above $76 per barrel. Well, it got choppy, and then at the end of last week and then the start of this week, we've fallen to $66 per barrel. So that is a $10 pullback from recent highs. So that's way more than, obviously we're way below $100 per barrel. So a $10 pullback is way more than a 10% pullback. So that, in financial market terms, counts as at least a correction. We're not in a bear market yet for crude oil, which would be a 20% drop from recent highs. But that certainly is something to look out for. As you can see, crude oil has, that was the end of last week, sometime last week, where we dropped below the 21-day moving average, which is here in orange. Yesterday, we created below the 50-day moving average, which is marked up in green. And we also, if I zoom out a little bit more, I wouldn't say we've made a clean break below these levels of support, but we're definitely trying. So these levels of support, by the way, it's the Q1 high set on the 8th of March, around 67.50, and then the May. Was these all May? Yeah. Basically the mid-May highs, which is a triple high really, all in the mid-66, around the mid-66 level. So we're probing that. And also I've got marked up as well, guys. You can see in this grey line going up here, we've got this trend line which seems to be offering some support as well. So all of this, like I say, offering support for now, but if sentiment continues to deteriorate, then, we could be falling all the way to the bottom of this range. So you had this range here in April and May, which was from the 60 to the 66 sort of levels. Well, if we go below this support line, we could definitely be challenging that very, very soon. Even further to the downside, now I think this would be, we'd have to see a much more meaningful correction in other assets like stocks and stuff, which could happen, but I'm not so sure. It's still early days to call such a move. But we could potentially fall all the way back to the 200 DMA, which is around $57 per barrel. That'll be very, very strong support, and that also coincides with these March lows, which are also around 57. So that is a key area of support to be aware of as well. Why have we been falling so much in crude oil prices recently? Well, really, there's been two factors, to be honest. At the start of this week, and today, there's been, over the weekend really, since the end of last week, there's been this resurgence in coronavirus fears, mainly around the increased rate of spread of the Delta variant, and also to a large extent, not just about the fact that that's leading to a tightening of domestic restrictions on economic activity, which of course is a threat to the oil demand outlook, but probably in a surprise to a lot of people, international travel restrictions are being tightened again quite significantly. I mean, we've seen double vaccinated people here in Europe, tighter travel restrictions on them. Now that probably is a bit of a surprise to some of the oil bulls, that they were probably hoping that vaccine passports were going to be a way through which international travel could be rekindled, having these being double vaccinated, having your vaccine passport, and then not having to do all the quarantines and stuff. Well, the UK is quarantining people coming back from France, even if they're double vaccinated. So that could be the start of a trend, which obviously bodes very poorly for international travel. And remember, international travel, very important component of crude oil demand because of jet fuel demand. Jet fuel is a massive thing for crude oil markets. Things have not been going well. And then to compound that, those concerns are one reason which has weighed on crude oil over the past sort of 2-3 sessions. Another reason is OPEC had a surprise meeting over the weekend, They ironed out their recent disagreement around baseline production levels. So from May next year, first of all, they're going to extend their supply management pact until the end of 2020. But that extension is going to be with tweaked baseline production levels for Saudi Arabia, Russia, UAE, Kuwait, and Iraq. I think all of those countries will have a higher baseline production level. But that's from May. But agreement on that issue has paved the way for agreement on a near-term crude oil output hike. So there's going to be 400,000 barrels per day more in crude oil coming back onto the market every month from August now until, you know, the remainder of OPEC's cuts are gone, really. So yeah, it's like you got demand side concerns coupled with this breakthrough that paves the way for higher supply. So it's like less demand, more supply. That's never good for prices, is it? No matter what market you're looking at. So yeah, heading forward, what do I think is going to happen? Well, I mean, I think I'm going to, personally with crude oil markets, definitely trade what you see, okay? Like when crude, if these levels here are broken to the downside, well then technicals will likely take over and bring crude oil all the way down to these levels here. But in terms of my fundamental outlook for crude oil markets, I'm still thinking they're going to find some support. I don't think this is the start of a new massive bear market for crude oil where we're going to head below 50 and into the 40s again or something like that. Because despite these fears about the Delta variant, I still believe that vaccines are going to be effective enough to allow a strong recovery in global crude oil demand, which means that crude oil markets are going to remain in surplus. In a deficit for the rest of the year. So tight crude oil markets, and that I think will probably offer some support to crude oil prices going forward. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one.